I disagree with this.
Americans are likely to be seeing a lot less information from other countries, and with it the many examples of working solutions to how the US can be a better place for average Americans.
I have a lifetime of world travel, both before and after becoming politically aware and aware of other concepts. I currently work at a company that sends us around the world and many places on multiple occasions to the same place, where we go out and interact with locals and sometimes make like long or short-term friendships. We also have in our company many visa holders and immigrants working for us as well. And to sum it up, man, the propaganda is too good. It's too good. They'll never see what you're trying to show them, ever. First of all, Americans see the world through the lens of right-wing propaganda. They literally cannot conceptualize what's going on in these other countries despite going there and living in them. Their propaganda has prepared rhetorical defenses against every single thing that they hear. And when they do interact with many of the locals from other countries, many of them they're so enamored with the Trump situation that they actually reinforce these Americans' beliefs by being friendly to those concepts. And of course, those foreign workers that now work at my company, they also buy into all of this rhetoric. And it's not just like people from other authoritarian nations. Like, we've also got people from every Scandinavian country and most of Europe and scattered throughout these other places with concepts like universal healthcare or extremely good education. But they all come here and they buy into the American propaganda. So the Americans are talking to these foreigners and are getting fed the same nonsense that our own propagandists are feeding us. And the thing is, this authoritarian rhetoric is actually the most unifying. You can get a Chinese citizen, a Russian citizen, an Israeli citizen in the room with like an African American or a Canadian or an Australian or a Norwegian, and they all unite around these same grievances. We think TikTok is potent because it feeds us an algorithm of all of this stuff that we're already interested in. But look over the shoulder of a right-wing person on TikTok. They're not seeing anything that could possibly change their minds about what's going on here. And while I don't want this app to go, we cannot underestimate the damage it has done to American rhetoric on the left. This hyper-curated environment where we always feel like we're right because we're only interacting with content that makes us feel right. It messes up our messaging. It makes us overly emotional when we see opposition messaging. It makes us not understand the language that the authoritarians use to communicate. So we can't even meet them where they're at to begin the dialogue. And yes, I'm sorry, I'm tooting my own horn here, but the wrong content is rising to the top. We follow the content that makes us feel good, not the content that thoroughly educates us. So this grievance-oriented channels that are all over the place, it doesn't help you learn that much. And, you know, I've tried to make educational content, but it just doesn't stick. It just doesn't. My most successful posts were also about grievance. Diverse community has been the best solution to communal motivation, communal thinking. But the internet is isolating us. And something else will replace TikTok, so it's not like we're going to get more connected just because an isolating app takes us, is taken away. And most sobering to me is I think the path back requires actions that are just as unethical as the path that got us here. Because the people that are truly doing the deep dives and caring about this stuff, they don't really need the education. They'll understand. All the people that need all the help, you kind of have to reach them without their consent, which is exactly what's been happening for decades now from the right. So anyway, Moose. I hate to break it to you, but most authoritarian regimes are not successfully taken down or revolted against without substantial foreign influence. The leaders that are installed after most such downfalls are typically members of the previous socio-political elite, puppets of the foreign powers that have helped, or otherwise people that you probably don't want in power, to be honest. The few cases in which citizens of a country have reversed its own authoritarian uprising have been done through voting before the authoritarians have enough power to undermine democracy. This is why so many of us on this side of politics were ringing the alarm bells and yelling from the rooftops, because this was our legit last chance to reverse this course via voting. Or worst case, at least stiff arm it for a little bit longer so we have energy and time to solve some problems. This is why the understanding of human nature and history itself is so fucking important. We fail to recognize the history of course reversals from authoritarianism. Enough people were bogged down by false equivalencies between the two parties, critiques of liberalism, and getting stuck on Palestine. I honestly don't see a path back to any sort of representative democracy until balkanization happens. And if that's the case, many of us will have extreme difficulty relocating to free territories, and we will always live with the threat of a hostile theocracy on our borders.